Grand Chief Gabriel Sylliboy of Waigama First Nation was elected the first Grand Chief of the Mi'kmaq Grand Council in 1918. During his tenure as Grand Chief, he was best remembered for defending the Mi'kmaq rights to hunt and fish after being arrested and convicted in 1927 under the Lands and Forests Act for hunting muskrat and possessing pelts out of season. During his legal battle, he faced immense racism and discrimination. Grand Chief appealed the ruling using the 1752 Peace and Friendship Treaty, signed between the Crown and the Mi'kmaq as his defense, the first to ever do so.
So for his court case, he had used the treaty, and the part it says that it is agreed that the said tribe of Indians shall not be hindered from, but have free liberty of hunting and fishing as usual, and that if they shall think a truck house needful, and that's to sell the stuff they made or catch.
So why do you have these up in your classroom?
Because I'm the social studies teacher, and I really think, as my grandfather had brought out the treaty, I am happy to show the treaty to the kids, because I didn't know about a treaty until I heard this story, and I'm an adult, and I want these children to know how important these treaties are. Hi, my name is Gina Pullet, as you know, and I am the great-granddaughter of Gabriel Sylliboy, and I'm from Waigama. These treaties, they are very valid. And I'm so glad that he knew about the treaties from, like I said, he never seen them, but he always heard about them. And I'm glad that he had used them. And I don't think if this case didn't come out, we would have never seen the treaties. But thanks to this case, we have treaty galores. Yes, he was charged for hunting, and he died a guilty man. And think how he felt, he died a guilty man. What's your name? From my grandmother, we always heard that people always came to him for advice. If couples were going to get married, they went to see him. He was kind of like a marriage counselor, and he would interview the couple to be and see if they're in a good state to get married. So they would usually go to him for information. This is one of the books I have for my students, and I feel like it's my godfather Georgian. I think he's the little boy. So, and he talks about the hunting and the fishing. So I make sure I read this to my students, and that's the Grand Chief. And the stories about Tommy listening to Dada stories. So, and I know those stories because we heard them as children. Grand Chief Sylliboy was one of the best Mi'kmaq speakers. This Scottish man came from Scotland, and he came over and he interviewed a lot of Gaelic people, and he interviewed my great-grandfather, Gabriel Sylliboy. So I love that we actually hear his voice. And I have to listen to what he's saying, and it's something about bringing the gift of language in this interview.
Born in August 1874, this summer marked what would have been his 150th birthday. In celebration, his home community of Waigama held a special ceremony in his honor. Grand Chiefs, living relatives, as well as elders, local band council, and other leaders and local residents gathered to retell the history of our late Grand Chief. Current Mi'kmaq Grand Chief Norman Sylliboy was one of the Grand Chief Sylliboy's living grandchildren in attendance at this summer's events, alongside his cousins Julina Bernard, George Sylliboy, and Barbara Sylliboy.
One thing, good animal, George.
Huh?
Kijinua, Aliedo,
Eh?
Esisoniga Wisco.
Eh?
They had a meeting. The Grand Council had a meeting. And they selected Gabriel Sylliboy to be the Grand Chief because he was already like of high standing in the Grand Council. He was the prayer leader. He was a captain, well respected and everything. So they selected Gabriel to be Grand Chief.
Eldad ja stage to eladin ka? Mai, well moon mai. Loudspeaker mawe wala. Edle we sto I stage it. But do you all know that?
One man did.
Because you do respected to alado. Yeah, Alba.
Yeah.
Do you all know that? Oh.
Growing up, I always told my kids about their parents, my parents and my grandparents, my uncles, aunts. Any little stories I have of them, I always shared with them because it's important. That's their history, huh?
All he did was smoke his pipe, relax,
Rocking chair.
sit in his rocking chair, and he go out walking for visit the neighbors, because his children lived all around his house actually.
Our stories are our history. Like if you want to know the history of Gabriel Sylliboy, you go to his grandchildren now, grandchildren and great-grandchildren to learn stories about them. That's our history. Mi'kmaq have an oral history. And our stories about our family keeps our history going from one generation to the next.
In February 2017, Grand Chief Sylliboy received a posthumous pardon and apology from the province of Nova Scotia for his unjust arrest and conviction.
When he got his pardon, I felt so happy. And I always make sure all my children know and my students, because I'm very proud that he did use the treaty. I'm glad he brought this treaty out. So seeing them take that sheet off, like, it was victory. Like, I wasn't there when they had the decision of pardon him, but that event that we had, and I was glad that my children, my son was in there. I was glad that they were a part of that because it felt so real. It felt so joyous, you know? I'm proud of my grandfather, but like I said, I was only about 10 when he passed, so my memories of him aren't a lot. But growing up, I had all his children, my aunts and uncles, to look up to. And he raised such wonderful people, huh?